Welcome back. As we talked about at the beginning of this broadcast, Colorado lawmakers will head back to the Capitol for a new session on Wednesday. They have quite the wish list, and keeping an eye on those lawmakers for us again this year are Marianne Goodland of ColoradoPolitics.com and Blair Miller of the DenverChannel.com. So welcome back, you two. You were sitting here listening to our two Democratic leaders giving their wish list, but you're saying it all comes down to money. They don't really have the money to do all that they want to do, correct?
That is correct. The revenue forecast that came out at the end of December gave a pot of money of about $55 million. And that may sound like a lot, but when you look at the governor's budget request, you look at some of the big ticket items that are likely to come up in this next session, and especially the public option and the family medical leave programs, the money just isn't there. So, and of course, the interesting part is that the state is going to be giving out over $1 billion in Tabor refunds over the next 3 years. Right. So all that money that lawmakers would love to have to spend isn't just isn't
so
there.
So were they being realistic in their wish list?
I mean, I guess that's really up for debate, but I mean, I think that probably most people would say no, but I mean, it's the start of the session. I mean, you kind of have to be a little bit unrealistic to try and push your agenda a little bit, I would say. But, you know, I mean, it's kind of, we're sitting looking like a similar session to last year, I would say, except you're not right off flipping the Senate and right off Governor Polis getting elected and the Dems sweeping everything. So, you know, they had their stuff last year, but like Marianne said, some of that stuff is still falling a little bit short revenue-wise, and so I think they're really going to have to prioritize what they're focusing on.
Even with the Dems in control, this is not going to be an easy legislative session?
Not at all. The Republicans have continued to say that with as little control as they have, they're going to still continue to do things to keep their message out there. Whether it's slowing down the process like they did last year, we don't know yet. But and it also depends on just how aggressive do the Democrats get with their agenda. Will that produce some of the shenanigans that went on during the 2019 session?
So the agenda items, what do you anticipate seeing?
Public option is probably going to be number one. That bill has, or the proposal that came out in the fall, in November, has drawn considerable opposition from the hospitals, from the insurance company, the pharmaceutical companies. They're already running
those ads.
We're seeing those ads, so that six-figure ad campaign against it, and they haven't changed their minds one iota between November and now. They're still very much opposed to the concept because they're very concerned about the idea of price controls, and that's at the heart of the public option. The hospitals will be told how much they can charge for their services.
And of course they're pushing back on that.
And they're going to push back very, very hard on this. The family medical leave bill is going to be another one. The proposal for that is due to the legislature on Wednesday, on the opening day of the session. But the actuaries who have all looked at this, and we've had several different actuarial reports now, say either a state-run program is going to cost a lot more than was initially projected when they did this legislation last year. But they're also, you have a private concern, Pinnacle Assurance, which is our state worker compensation fund, that says this really should be run by the private market.
Death penalty will also, repealing the death penalty, Blair, will also be up.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the probably the more interesting bills, even should it come up. You know, we were kind of discussing, okay, so I mean, nothing really has changed in the makeup of either the House or the Senate. We had Rhonda Fields opposed last year. Leroy Garcia, you know, could be opposed again this year. So at that point, even if it should pass the House, if it's going to die in the Senate, why even bring it up in the first place in the House?
Especially in an election year.
Right, and so that's just, you know, if you don't want to see a Democratic priority go and die in the Senate because of Democrats, basically, and especially in an election year like this. And, you know, also talking about an election year, when we go back to the public option, you know, I mean, we have this huge ad blitz, but then the Polis administration's big whole message last year was about saving money on health care. So I think the Democrats are going to have to put up a big fight if you already have these outside groups coming in to spend so much money against this thing. If they just roll over on it, then how's that going to look?
All right, so we have less than a minute now. So what else should we be looking for in this upcoming session?
I think we'll have legislation on guns. We're hearing talk that there will be gun bills on gun storage, and this is related to the STEM shooting that took place in Highlands Ranch last year. So we do expect to see some gun measures. I think
stolen firearms kind of goes hand in hand with that a little bit.
Correct.
Which it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. You know, we passed the red flag law, but you know, we saw what the Republican support has been like for any gun law, really. So, you know, I mean, are these small enough loopholes to tighten that it would get broader support, or are we going to see another lot of bills just, you know, mostly supported by Democrats and maybe a few Republicans?
Well, we know you two will be watching, and we appreciate your insight, and we'll see how this session goes. So thank you both so much, Blair Miller, Marianne Goodland. Listen, if you ever have a question or a segment idea, you can tweet us at Denver 7 Politics, and you can always watch today's segments anytime at thedenverchannel.com/Politics Unplugged. Thank you so much for spending part of your weekend with us. We will see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics Unplugged.